vita-raga-bhaya-krodha manmaya mamupasritah bahavo jñana-tapasa puta mad-bhavam agatah. Bhagavad Gita 4.10. Vita-raga-bhaya-krodha. Vita, being freed from; raga, attachment; bhaya, fear; krodha, anger. Manmaya mamupasritah. Manmaya, fixing your mind on me. Mamupasritah, taking shelter of me. Bahavo jñana-tapasa. Many in the past. Many, bahavo, by the austerity of knowledge. Jñana-tapasa. Puta, having become purified. Mad-bhavam agatah. They have attained my abode. So here Krishna is providing an intriguing repetition, which also shows how context can shape meaning. So vita-raga-bhaya-krodha, the same phrase had come earlier in the Bhagavad Gita in 2.56. Dukkheshu anudvikna manaha sukheshu vigata spruha. Vita-raga-bhaya-krodha siddhir-muniruchyate. So there Krishna had talked about becoming free from attachment, fear and anger as the necessities for being a Sthitadhir Muni. So now the question comes up that here Krishna is talking about the same three things as prerequisites for manmaya mamupasritah, for being able to take shelter of him wholeheartedly. So if we look at the point, these three, raga, bhaya, krodha, are essentially three kinds of attitudes towards the material world. So some people can have an attitude of devotion. Some people can have an attitude of infatuation to the material world. Others can have an attitude of fear. What does infatuation is clear enough. This is the world where I'll become happy. I just need to make some things right, get some objects, and then I'll enjoy. That attachment naturally creates agitation of the mind, so that cannot lead to a person being Sthitadhir Muni. But that attachment also distracts us from Krishna. And for any spiritual purpose in general, Krishna has talked about that in Bhogaishwarya Prasaktanam Taya Aparita Chetasam. In 2.44 he has stated how attachment to Bhoga and Aishwarya can distract one from Krishna, from Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, from one side, one-pointed intelligence that is required for any higher spiritual purpose. And what to speak of the higher spiritual purpose? Krishna. So raga, bhaya and krodha. Now at one level we could say just bhaya refers to that if there's too much anxiety about material enjoyment, then one can also be distracted from Krishna. Of course, sometimes that bhaya can make people go closer to Krishna also, because when people are fearful, they may go to God. So here the point is, the bhaya can be a more philosophical kind of fear also, where by experiencing the repeated futility of material enjoyment, which is essentially the pursuit of material forms and material sense objects, one may start thinking that all objects are that all material objects are futile. All forms are illusory, and all enjoyment is illusory, and therefore one needs to go beyond form, beyond personality, to a formless, personalityless, qualityless bliss, just a transcendental existence, just shanti, shanti, shanti. So that actually is an erroneous understanding, because the problem is that such an understanding can keep us away from Krishna also, because we will start thinking that Krishna is also one such form and I have to go beyond that form of Krishna. So that philosophical kind of bhaya which the materialists, which the impersonalists have of form and personality, that also prevents them from taking shelter of Krishna. And then there is krodha. Krodha can mean anger, and at one level, now when one is very angry because one has not got material enjoyment, one may take that anger out on God and say that God doesn't help me, I don't care for God also. So that is at one level possible. Another level, it is also possible that we may actually not recognize at a deeper level, the krodha can be that inability to ascertain the absolute truth. So frustration because of encountering so many different philosophies and so many different doctrines, that one feels, there is no absolute truth, and therefore one doesn't even endeavor to find the absolute truth, and one becomes nihilistic, rejecting all attempts to find the absolute truth. So that also keeps one away from turning towards Krishna and taking shelter of Krishna. So vita-raga-bhaya-krodha. In this way, a person stays bound in material existence. And so these three are the obstacles: excessive attachment towards the material world, frustration, fear of forms, and frustration and inability to ascertain the absolute truth. All these can keep a person away from Krishna. So when one is vita, when one gives up all these three things, vita-raga-bhaya-krodha, then when these three phases of distraction are put aside, one becomes free from them. Then mad-bhavam, we can fix the mind in Krishna, and not just fix the mind, but mam upasritah. One can actually take shelter of Krishna. Many people may think of Krishna in the sense of wanting to enjoy some sense gratification, in the sense of hearing some just playful pastimes, or in the case of Krishna, the Ras Leela, of enjoying some sexually titillating, or at least romantically titillating stories. So, the sort of fixing the mind on Krishna is not involving taking shelter of him. And that is not the kind of shelter which will lead to lasting benefit. Bahavo, jñana-tapasa. Many in the past, by jñana-tapasa, by the austerity of knowledge, have become purified. Austerity of knowledge means that understanding Krishna thus as a supreme enjoyer, it requires tapasa. Normally jnanis think that actually meditating on the absolute truth, which is formless and personalityless, that is actually very difficult, and sentimental people can't do it, and that's why bhakti marg is good for them. But actually, to understand Krishna as the person, how somebody can be all-pervading and still be a person, how somebody can be omnipotent and still be manifesting as a child, this is far more difficult to understand. And to understand that requires jñana-tapasa. That requires a far greater austerity of knowledge. But if somebody can do that austerity of knowledge, and Krishna says, bahavo, puta. Many have become purified. And by this, mad-bhavam, agatah. So bhava has many meanings. It can refer to nature. So they attain my nature. That means they attain the spiritual, spiritual nature. Bhava can also refer to an emotion. It is the penultimate stage in the 9th stage progression towards prema, bhava and prema. So when we take shelter of Krishna like this, then we can attain love for him. And that is also life's great perfection. So mad-bhavam agatah. So in this way, this verse helps us to understand how we can get the tattvataha understanding that is mentioned in the previous verse, and how that tattvataha understanding can lead to the fruit. Punarjanaiti mameti Arjuna. This verse says that when we become free from attachment, frustration and fear, and we take shelter of Krishna, then the resulting knowledge of Krishna, understanding that, receiving that is austerity. But if we do that austerity, that will purify us. And many have become purified. So Krishna is trying to assure Arjuna, bahavo jñana-tapasa puta mad-bhavam agatah. Many in the past have become purified and have attained me. And similarly, you too can attain me. Thank you.